You still want the latest phone, right? What's that? That's change, right? It's either you on board with the change or you're gonna let the change run over you.
We're used to sucking up the water, and that's it.
Water.
Yep, suck it up, and put the furniture right back on top.
Apartment companies want their money, regardless, and they're gonna move forward with getting ready to evict you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but if a smaller company put a lien on you, you're upset. Why?
Management companies don't look at this as a partnership. They're always hitting vendors for money.
If you want to get a good vendor, you have to pay on time. After 30 days, you'll get a fee, but no vendor in their right mind is actually going to charge that late fee. Never do. They never do. When Make Ready went to digital, being on apps like AppWork, a lot of times with the bigger companies, they can, how you say this? Because a lot of companies have these vendor credentials like Compliance Depot and these other third-party companies that vet them, because now companies, they want you to have a certain amount of insurance, a certain amount of, I think that's mostly insurance, a certain amount of insurance, and they want to make sure your license, your business license up to date, things like that. And that hurts some smaller companies, because they might not have a $2 million insurance policy. They may only have a $500,000 or just $1 million policy. These days, like the company I represent, it's a $2 million policy, insurance policy.
But I agree with you on that. But even I agree, I've seen it happen on the reverse side of it. They still have the insurance limit. But like, for instance, I don't want to call their name on camera, but who you had just mentioned, they've been complaining about them for years. But they continuously call them. But then if a smaller company, they may have the insurance, they may have everything, they're doing everything to satisfy that property management company, that manager. But if they screw up one time, they'll say, don't use them.
Don't use them no more. And it's all about relationship. Like me and Adrian was talking about earlier, it's all about relationship. You just, hey, no one's perfect. Things happen. But if they come to you, this is the solution, this is how we're gonna make sure this doesn't happen anymore. I think that's the key. But you brought up a good question. They still call out the major company, even though the smaller company is doing better work.
Right.
So sometimes that's how you say politics. Right. It's a lot of politics in this industry as well, because this company might be doing so much at the end of the year. They might be hosting Christmas parties or hosting budget boot camps. So sometimes that politics kind of pushes them a little farther, and they look past certain deficiencies in a certain company.
So basically, the politics get caught up in the quality of work and who you're using. So it's a moral thing at that point.
Yeah. Basically, and I just feel like, and also it depends on like the regional, the property managers, that's their person. That's who they want to go with. They don't care. They can't do no wrong, even though this other company, a small company, can come in, better pricing, better service, better quality.
You seen it happen?
Yeah, I seen it happen because, I've seen it happen time after time after time. I think somebody had mentioned in one of Adrian's meetings that sometimes you got to be careful because certain vendors give a lot of kickbacks, and that can interfere with the quality of the work, the service of the work. And so that's why they're using the bigger company, because they might be getting the whole team kickbacks. And you got to be careful of that. They can come back and bite you on the end.
No, guy, I want to ask the question though, like piggyback off what Adrian was saying earlier. How do we, of course I'm a vendor, so, and I've always had this conversation with Adrian, and I see you on the right track of what I've always been trying to accomplish, and I ain't thinking we're going to get this far. But to see where you're going when you say about your list, the checkoff list, like with the water intrusion, what kind is it? Category 1, 2, or 3. Pulling the baseboards off, which should be done, and drill the hole, versus trying to cut out everything. So when I'm saying that you're moving towards what really needs to be done to protect the asset, how do you think the education can get out there for everybody else to get on board? Or do you think it'll ever happen?
I think it'll happen, but it'll take an industry partner like you to come out and offer just some free training. You know, if you can spare an hour of your time, and that's also can get you in the door, and that's also would show the ownership that you care about their asset. And like we was discussing earlier today, a lot of people just come in, suck the water up, no matter what it is, suck it up and leave, and charge y'all all kinds of money, and come back days later and say, well, it didn't dry properly. Now we got to remove the baseboard. Now we got to move the drywall. Well, if you had came in, you had educated the maintenance team or the office team on it, and they know that baseboard needs to be removed. They can say, hey, how come you didn't remove the baseboard? So you're holding that vendor accountable, so that way that vendor cannot come back and say, well, it didn't dry properly, and now I need to do some demo work. So you got to be careful, because some companies would do that on purpose. Not all companies, but some I've seen have done that. That way they can say it's a change order or it didn't dry properly. Now they're doing all this extra demo work when they could have corrected the problem the first time.
So at that point, you guys just think it's a vendor and management relationship thing at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Also, I wanted to stop for a second and say, this episode is brought to you by AppWork, the maintenance platform built by operators for operators. If your work order system is slowing you down, it's time for a change. AppWork helps you streamline operations, boost tech efficiency, and track everything in real time. Smarter tools, better results. Check them out at appworkco.com. Hi everyone. We're doing something different today. Okay, we're gonna have the Multifamily X podcast, Masters of Maintenance, with two guests and a host, but the host is not me. So there's a takeover, and we have Deonco right here that's going to be our host for today. Deonco, please introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I'm Deonco Melvin, and I came into this industry years ago. I started out just cleaning carpet, which I learned from my dad. And so I moved to Atlanta, and I got into the carpet cleaning industry on the apartment side. When I first got in it, like Ed was new, and I was new into the industry, and as you can see, he's grown to become where he's at. And so as I got into the carpet industry, I started doing water extraction. And I realized I was doing them wrong, and I was doing them in the apartment industry. But the only thing I knew was to extract water, cut the pad, and get out of there. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't care if it was sewage water, like ASA category 3. And so, but as I got educated, I realized a lot of these tenants were really getting sick from me not doing things properly because I was uneducated. And so I just started making it my goal, trying to get a bridge here for vendors and maintenance guys. And once I get that bridge, for things to be done properly. And so that's my mission to be, how can I put it? I want to be what you call it, Ed? An industry partner.
Industry partner.
But at the same time, I want to do it ethical, because I realize there's a lot of people that do it unethical. But I just want to partner with people and then let the property manager, the property management company know that we're here for them. We're not a company that wants to do it just for the money or try to get over on people. We want to have standards and that align with things like what Adrian does and align with Ed.
Mm-hmm.
All yours, brother. Take it away. Take it away. Don't look at me. You're on the spot now.
Yeah, and I believe if you do it properly, it justifies your cost, because they're seeing that, okay, he's not coming in here putting all these equipment in, which costs money. He's coming in and putting the correct amount of equipment in. You're doing your due diligence. You might not always have to cut holes or move drywall, depending on where the leak is coming from, depending on how fast you got there and what needs to be done. Because like I said, you're the expert. You can educate them like, hey, this is 100% wet. and also you can document everything, and that's the key thing. Like previous in years, hire just any old carpet company. They're not giving you moisture readings. They're not giving you humidity readings. They're just, you get an invoice, pull a pad, extract the water, and that's it. You're not getting photos before and after. And to me, that's key. And especially for on the corporate side and the asset manager side, we want to see documentation. Why are we paying this? Okay, you did a fantastic job here. We're gonna make phone calls, especially me. I'll make a phone call and say, hey, this guy communicated and he represented this company very well. Let's shoot an email out to more of our properties. If this is how we want it done, this is how it should be done, because you actually helping us as well, just in case something should occur with a resident due to whatever type of water intrusion it is. With your documentation, help covers us. And that is amazing, instead of one little sheet of paper. And that's it. There's not saying what was done, what type it was, anything like that.
And you know, guys, it is gonna take people like us three because to shift this industry to where it's at. Because, like you said, Ed, everybody is not used to doing it the proper way. Mm-hmm. So people have to be willing to accept, knowing that, how can I put this guy? Everybody's not acceptable to change. So if you come in with someone who has 20 years experience and you try to tell them, we got to cut the sheet, or we got to cut the baseboard, they're gonna like, no, I've been doing this for 20 years, that ain't how it's done. So if they're not willing to accept this change, I think those people either need to find another industry to be in at this point. Because I believe the industry is shifting. Well, I think the industry needs to shift. And I think you're on the forefront of it right now, you and Adrian, on making things change for the multifamily industry.
Yeah, because change is growth. Because without change, you can't grow. And you always want to grow.
Well, the point about change is that I think the human race, most of us have unrealistic expectations, right? You find a comfort situation and you try to hang on to it, and you wish like that never changes. The reality is that you still want the latest phone, right? What's that? That's change, right?
Yep.
You still want the latest car, the latest technology on you, like everything you want the latest and the best. So that only it's possible with change. When things do change, right? They don't stay the same thing. Your entire life around you changes, but then you have this super unrealistic expectation that that particular situation that you're comfortable in is not going to change. And the reality is that it doesn't really matter what you want. When you're in this mindset, very like limited mindset, saying that you want the things to stay the same way they are, you're the one that's going to be hurting. Mm-hmm. Change doesn't care about you, about what you want. Change is gonna happen regardless. It's either you on board with the change and you're just kind of like riding the wave, or you're gonna let the change run over you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a fantastic way to do it. Because I'll be honest, I was stuck in change I was hesitate to change, right. Especially
it's human nature.
The human nature.
It's human nature. This is like our default state, right? The way to succeed in any situation is to like beat that, to submission, that default state. Find the switch and turn it and change the narrative.
Yeah.
I think we kind of go into survival mode.
Yeah.
When something's different, we start panicking.
Oh.
And so when we just stay the same, we're in a state of our comfortability. Of course. Yeah. Anything that's uncomfortable normally makes us feel hesitant and we're reluctant. We're reluctant to even.
But that's the only place where you grow. When being uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's almost like I'll give you an example. I know it's a little off topic. The Make Ready boards. When Make Ready went to digital, being on apps like AppWorks, but I know it was a struggle. It was literally a struggle. Like I'm used to seeing the board right then and there, not realizing how much it would help the company grow, how much real time it'll save for issues, because that way we're not having two vendors in one unit at the same time. Like you scheduled, did you realize you scheduled this and this at the same date? Or a vendor can't make it, and I'm expecting that vendor, so that way you can better change the whole Make Ready board in an instant, instead of having to drive down to the shop and and erase the make ready board. At least it's being done in real time. Everybody can see it. But to get back to your fantastic gift that you can bring to the industry, I feel that you're on point. We need to educate our own staff team about the true steps of remediation when you have a water intrusion. Because like you were saying, there's so many ways you can do it. And like you were saying, we're used to sucking up the water.
Right.
And that's it.
Sewage water.
Yep, suck it up and put the furniture right back on top. Put the furniture.
I don't even want to be in my own doo-doo. You know? So why would you want to be in somebody else's that's coming up out? But that's the way the industry has always been. But I'm going to touch on something that's going to, it may be kind of rough with some feathers, but it's a reality. And some of the lower income housing, it runs rapid in there. Because I've seen on one property I worked on years ago, they remodeled it, guys. Pulled the cabinets, they called it a remodel. Pulled the cabinets down, just gonna put up new cabinets, but it was in the hood per se. Mold everywhere. You know what they did? Put the cabinets up on top of it. It was in a low income area, and so I think the underdeserved areas get looked over. A whole lot more. And what I've learned about mold, I mean, not to keep elaborating, but I've seen the problems that mold, like you said, your son is allergic to mold. And mold is honestly can cause ADHD, brain fog. And imagine these kids in the hood suffering from mold toxicity. Now they can't pay attention in school. They can't pay attention in school. Now they're gonna label them ADHD, misdiagnosis. And then once they label it ADHD, I know this is a stretch, but once they mislabel them ADHD, now they're being disruptive and they're more likely to quit school. Quit school and when you headed to prison. So what if I can tell you mold toxicity was the reason that this kid maybe in the long-term exposure rather, the reason he wound up in prison. You know? Yeah. But like I said, it's in the underserved areas and people look over them.
Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind, or just going by. I didn't see maintenance guys do this. Never me. Right. I didn't see maintenance guys spray kilts. That's how you kill mold. Spray kilts, paint over it, and walk off. But what was the cause of that? What was the cause of it? You know, that's the first thing you got to do. You just can't spray kilts on it, paint it, come back, paint it later when it dries, call it a day. It's gonna come right back. You wonder why it keep coming back, because you got a water leak behind something, or anything where you got that smell. You know, because that musty smell has an odor. Because it can be from a water intrusion where they never pulled the tack strap, the tack strips up. If you had done that, you've been good.
But let me ask you guys this too though. And I think not just on the management side, I believe us vendors hold a responsibility also. If you're giving a vendor the majority of your work, now I know in the insurance industry, numbers are very high. Now restoration companies normally want to come in and they'll charge those high numbers. I believe it should be a rate that's set for people in the multifamily because they're giving you a volume of work. And I believe that with those rates being so high, I believe that scares off a lot of property managers or guys like yourself, because they're like, I'm not gonna call this guy in and he's just gonna do one room and charge me $3,500. Because my restoration friend, don't kill me for this, because the profit margins that we do is very high. So we can bring those numbers down extremely. If we're willing to partner with somebody who want to make change effective. Guys, don't kill me. But I'm just saying, our numbers, to be honest, our numbers are very, very high. And so if we really want to make change and be partners with somebody, we can lower those numbers extremely. To make it be a win-win for everybody. It's a win-win for the managers, the management company, the tenants who are going to make sure all of us are paid. It's a win for them. And then it's a win for the management company, like I said.
Yeah, and I feel like some same partners in your same industry, your same owners, sometimes feel like they need to protect themselves as well. Like say they going in, but the supervisor who's stuck in his ways only want this and this and this. Okay, I'm gonna do what you say, but I need you to sign this form where I suggested you do this and do that, because that way they can't come back on you and say, well, you didn't do it correctly. This is it, and it's your fault. I don't see that a lot when reservation companies where they don't have that type of extra documentation right then and there for them to sign. So there'll be something good to look at, or even technology. Have some type of app already filled out. Please sign here.
Right.
They're stating that, hey, and it automatically shoots out to the owner of the company, to his supervisor. It shoots out to everybody like, hey, they denied this service, and just whatever literature, language you want to put in there, so that way not too harsh, but hey, this is why I suggest, and this is I suggest needs to be done to properly dry out this water intrusion. Some type of safeguard. It protects you, and at the same time, that might help change somebody's mind, because that means their owner of the company might get that along with the bill. Well, how come you denied this? How come you denied this and this and this? That can be a selling tool as well. So it can go both ways, because no one want to put their name where I denied work being done, especially when it comes to a water intrusion.
So, guys, from y'all experience, what were some of the reasons that made people hesitant to get things done the proper way, even though they were educated?
Cost.
Cost.
Right.
That's all it is. Cost.
Is the shortest and the most honest answer, really. It's cost. A lot of decisions are cost driven, and I won't say unfortunately, I'll say property managers are here to run a business. When you run a business, you got to run a business responsibly. You have a fiduciary duty to your owners to do that, right? And it's tough sometimes. I don't think that people on purpose, for most of the time, on purpose, they try to cut corners, right? I think a lot of times this impulse, it's an impulse that pushes them towards making that decision to cut costs without actually thinking midterm, long term. Would it be a consequence? Would it be something like you mentioned, Deonco, that certain kids suffer, where like individuals, even adults? If you were mentioning earlier, because we had this conversation on more than one occasion, my son is allergic to mold. My son cannot be in an environment, in a room where there's mold present. He gets very sick. He could die, actually, long term. He cannot handle, his body cannot handle. His reactions to mold are violent, right? So long term, I think, long-term exposure, that affects everyone. So back to what Ed said, cost, that's just the reality of it. I think that's the number one. I just think it takes all of us to have this type of honest conversations and put them out there repeatedly. A conversation doesn't move the needle. It's a great start, but it doesn't move the needle. We have to keep coming back with these conversations, honest conversations out there to educate and also make people more sensitive to this serious issue.
Right. But you know what? I'm going to speak on the vendor side of it also. Like I said, we all have to work together as a family for everything to work properly. Because a lot of vendors, especially some of the smaller guys, it's an issue when you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, being there for your industry partner. And so now everybody's cool with 30-day net. You understand that in the industry.
Oh, yeah.
When you start pushing people up 60, 90, and then when they call and ask and you get upset and call another vendor, I believe that messes up the cohesiveness. So now, not us, but then I know some vendors, when they come back, now they'll say they didn't help my money, now I'm gonna charge them for an extra fan or extra DHU. Mm-hmm. And I believe it's those issues where all of us need to work together as one, what makes things better. Everybody should have a certain moral compass and work together as a team. And I don't think anybody's wrong for asking for their money. And that's what all vendors hate. And of course, I'm not saying, I know your company doesn't do this, but to run up a bill, especially with a smaller company who's doing what it's supposed to do, and intentionally not paying, and then call someone else. Now that runs rapid in this industry.
Yeah, I've seen that before, and that's another reason why we were talking earlier. So this might be why they call out the bigger company, because they can get away without paying that bigger company months without making a payment. But a smaller company, like you said, the moms and pops, for them not to get their money past 45 days could be devastating, because they got to pay their vendors, their overhead costs, things like that. So that's why sometimes they might not call out the small and pop, because they're gonna need their money a lot quicker than a bigger company.
But I believe we have to, and tell me if I'm wrong, guys, but we have to get out of that habit. So like we was also saying, then the biggest companies may not have, not all of them, but they may not have that level of service or quality work.
Yes.
And what the owners and managers have to look at too, once that rent 5 days late, what they gonna do? Put that note on the door.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to have their money just like smaller companies. So it's never been equal on both sides. Apartment companies want their money regardless, and they're gonna move forward with getting ready to evict you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but if a smaller company put a lien on you, you're upset. Why?
It's not a playing field here. Like it's not, and this stems from the fact that management companies don't look at it as a partnership. They're looking at a servitude. They're looking at vendors or someone that's existing there to please, to serve them, like the lower class citizen. Mm-hmm. That's just a reality. I'm saying it on the record, but that's reality. Companies that look at vendor supplier partners as a partner, you could tell. They have better profits, they have happier employees, and they attract better vendors. But there's a significant number of them out there, managers and people in management, they're looking down. They're always hitting vendors for money. Give us money for this, give us money for this. When it comes for them to do their part to reciprocate and to just say, you're my partner, I gotta take care of you. I gotta make sure you get paid. I gotta make sure you're treated right. You're not like abused by my management on site. It's unfortunate, but I don't always see it consistently happen. So I'm totally resonating with what you're saying here.
Right. And like I said, I believe I believe that, like you said, guys, the conversation is not going to change it overnight. But I believe once we bring awareness to it, it's going to make things slow. It's going to start moving the needle slowly. Mm-hmm. This has been an issue in the multifamily space. And what I'm saying, I was speaking them up for the vendors at that point about the getting payment.
Oh, that has been around for ages. But a vendor not getting paid on time because, and a lot of times you kind of know what property management don't pay on time. I mean, it was like everybody knows. Everybody knows. Like it's like a secret society. We I know vendors. They all talk like, hey, blank and blank out there in Stone Mountain, they ain't gonna pay on time. But hey, you go work for them, you get your money within 3 weeks. And people target those companies, those property management companies first before they target other property management companies, because sometimes that's why some property management companies get vendors that who's not quite as skilled, because they're okay with paying late and things like that. But if you want to get a good vendor, you have to pay on time. Even though it's in their clause, like, hey, after 30 days, you'll get a fee, but no vendor in their right mind is actually going to charge that late fee. Never do. They never do. It never do. It's in there, it's never do. But at the same time, you'll start giving the client who's not paying, and that's bad to say, is who's not paying on time, you're not going to be showing up as quick and fast. You're not going to be providing the best customer service, because they're not providing you the best customer service, but you still want to be a partner because they do pay their bills, but it could be 6 months later, 7 months later. And that's and where you can focus on giving somebody else better service over here, because they're paying their bills on time. So it shifts. Right. Even though they still gonna get service, but it's not as prompt and not as quick as they was if they was paying on time. It's just how the industry is.
And I never been on the maintenance side of it, but from listening to maintenance guys talk, like the maintenance guys bring their vendors over and put their word out that, all right, this company's gonna pay you, and then they don't pay on time, it make the maintenance guys look bad, and it makes them say, I don't even want to call my vendors out because y'all don't pay the bill.
Yeah, I have ran into that as well. Right. Like these vendors do good work, man, I'm so sorry. Then we'll be hesitate to call you. That's another reason why it might seem like, well, how come y'all using this bigger company? Why not using me? Because man, in my heart, I don't want to call you, but I need this, but I know
You're not gonna get paid on time.
I know you're not gonna get paid on time. And it's just how it is sometimes with certain companies. Not all, but certain companies. And that puts the maintenance guy in a bad spot, or the property manager. Put them in a bad spot because they know they keep calling you, racking up costs, and you're not being paid, because everybody hates that talk. Like, hey, well, when am I gonna see a check?
There's always a situation. I'm not sure if many can look at it. Someone like you that's not like a huge billion-dollar corporation. When you don't get paid on time, you're basically financing the property management operations.
Wow, that's powerful.
That's what you do. Because you pay your supplier, you pay your subs, you pay your employees, you pay for the supplies. You have to pay. If you don't, people don't work for you. If you don't, you can't get supplies. You get cut off. So you're basically financing the property management operations for the time being, for an extended period of time until you get paid. And then eventually that two things are gonna happen is, some companies like yours will say, well, I can't really afford to be in this game. And the property is losing a good vendor. Or I had to increase my prices because if I'm acting as a bank for the property, I'm gonna have to get money for the money that I'm paying in advance, and that I'm floating up until I get paid. So it's just another angle.
Like when we said the cost is normally the biggest problem, right?
Yeah.
And then so the cost is the problem. This is the quality service right here. Now this is the gap in the middle. How do we meet in the middle with cost and service to satisfy the property management company? Is that what I mean by that? To kind of give you a frame of it. Should it be a built-in price, a not to exceed cost, or should it be, just a list of saying, well, Ed, this is what it's going to charge, or we put one dehumidifier in. If you need an extra, we don't charge. What is the middle point that we can meet that bridge?
It got to be communication. Just don't go and do all this work, then present a bill. Before I advise any vendor, before they do any work, go ahead and write it up, get that signature. So that way, whoever called you out there, they are already aware of the pricing and this is what they're doing. So that way, they're locked in the price and you're locked in the price. You're not going back and putting the extra equipment. So I advise any company that they're doing the type of service you're doing, already calculate what you need, present the price before you drop any blower amenity, get that approval in writing. So that way, that stops any confusion. They know the price and you know what service you about to provide them. So that brings it together instantly. I believe being communication, not just say, hey, it's gonna cost this and hang up the phone.
But let me ask you this though, even on those midnight calls in the middle of the night, I believe that's where a level of security and trust in both comes into play. So if you know, and I'm gonna do it the right way, by your training that how many blowers supposed to be in a certain size room, how many DU supposed to be in there. So if we already got that understanding, you say, but my vendor's gonna do the right thing. He's not gonna do anything that's not necessary. Because if I'm waiting for somebody to get in tomorrow to say, all right, this is what's gonna cost, we almost 8 hours in on drive.
Oh no, if they call you out for an emergency call, somebody should be on site to let you in. And whoever that person let you on site should be able to approve, and to approve your quote. But the thing is, that's where you have that communication understanding in the very beginning before you even start work with them. Like, hey, have that conversation with them. After our calls, right. 2, 3 in the morning, we always need an approval before we can begin work.
Gotcha.
We're gonna go ahead and start taking our equipment out before we plug up anything. We need an approval. So that way everybody is already understanding, well, no matter what they do, they're gonna show up. For them to move forward, you got to cover yourself as a vendor, so that way you're not breaking any trust or any issues. Man, why haven't you charged me that much? Well, but you went around. Well, whoever unlocks that door for you, because regardless, somebody got to let you in on property. Some on call guy got to let you on property, and they can sign for it. Or if they say they're not authorized to sign, at least get an email. Shoot an email to the regional or to whoever. They should have a call list. All on call guys, they have a call list. They should have an understanding that if they call you out, your company out, you're gonna always need the approval.
Gotcha.
You know, that's why I know some situations doesn't work that way, but that to me, that would bring that gap close. Have that understanding. If we come out, we have to have an approval. So that way you understand that we're gonna provide this type of service, this is how much you're charging. But they should already have your price list already, like how much already, but still gotta get some type of signature. That way everything's covered and you're okay with your prices. That way nobody calling you back, hey, can you drop this price down? Can you drop this price down? That way you cover yourself. And that, to me, that will bridge the gap. Regardless of what you do, they should have an understanding. When you come out, you have to have approval. That's my company policy. That's what's going to keep you to. That's what's going to bring everything together.
Gotcha.